Oof.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Sword Art Podcast. I'm your host Shark, and today I have my co-host Hestia, and our special guest today is Itzal. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you once again for having me on here. And don't worry, guys, we're always professional here. Nothing broke.
Nothing broke. We'll leave it at that. So, how are you guys doing this morning?
Doing alright. A little bit tired, but that's about it.
I mean, that's kind of a given.
I'm about the same. Kind of tired, but it's the morning. I was more so excited because of the fact that this is like more personal information already. Personal info already. Because I'm trying to host a D&D campaign with some like IRL fans, so I'm like, come on guys, get to characters, I'm excited for this.
Solid. So what's going on in the SAO-verse this month? I know we've had a lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Hey, if you count drama as fun.
So what's actually going on with Neo's Weekly Link?
Well, Neo did bring it back, so that's a thing.
Plus.
That's it. Yeah, so Neo's basically trying to incorporate some more things, trying to get like more topics to put stuff into. And I'm gonna pull it up right now so I can give you the latest link, which is we're still doing the new players, so that's always nice. And then there's the open parties and interesting threads, with interesting threads kind of being like big. Well, I don't want to use the word big, but like people's plot threads that they maybe want people to be looking out for, and also things like event threads, the boss, those kind of things.
Nice. So I will start off, before we get too far into the show, I will say if you have a question or discussion you want us to address, feel free to use the @SAO-RPG in the chat, followed by your question, so it tags us and we'll be able to see it, and we'll get around to that. In the last half of the show, we will be taking a call-in, so if you haven't read my status post on SAO a couple days ago, to be able to do the call-in, you just join the call-in voice channel of the podcast in the Discord, and we'll pull you in when it's your turn. So, what's as we move into quests and events, what do you guys see in that side of the story?
Well, in terms of quests, there hasn't been much progress in terms of that, from what I've seen. But things are getting worked on for future floors. We have lots of people working on much like late 20s to early 30s already, which is pretty solid.
Nice.
Work usually gets spread around by people. And for events, we have two of them going on right now, with one of them being held by special guest Itzal, the other one done by Morgenstern.
Nice.
So Itzal, since you're doing the tier 3 events, you have any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Other than just act as your characters and go by what they would do. Yeah, basically, this is essentially becoming a story, because, like, after the boss raid had its little drama, obviously everyone's characters started spiraling out of control. And so you're kind of seeing results of that in the tier 3 boss fight. Morgenstern has ditched being a tank and is going all out DPS, but at the same time he's having confidence issues. He's beating himself up in character, which is really sad to see, but at the same time I know where he's planning to go with that. I know what direction he's going towards. So it's... And then, of course, you have Xandra, who's having a mental breakdown, and then Artemiel going after the people that they cared for or wish they could have saved or miss is not helping the situation either. So, words of wisdom would basically just be, hang tight, you're going to be in here for a long ride.
And then you have Sewell. Yeah, for the tier 3 event boss, we've basically had our boy Sewell one of the very few actual Orange Crystal players wanting to help the event boss by any means you can think of in terms of in-character stuff, I imagine. But out of character, I think there's not as many options we can give, since it's basically the balancing act of... It's a setting. It's basically... Death is a thing. You can be smacked at any time. But... we don't want what we call an Opal situation where they murk 2 people because they feel like it.
That was interesting, by the way.
Yeah,
I remember that happened.
I remember, like, there was one time where staff was thinking about adding a rule that allows killing players at any moment you wish, and we had a big discussion about that with the community, and I cannot tell you how many people were against that. Like, a lot of them were okay with anything as long as players had out of character permission, but the obvious thing was like we can't just kill players off without permission from the creators, because yeah, it's based off of SAO, but this is also a role-playing forum, and people want to create stories. They don't want those stories to end abruptly, especially when they had so much progress in.
But that's part of the fun.
That's why I like...
Well, yeah, but here's the thing: is like I feel like there should be, if we do go down that route, which with the amount of people who don't like the idea, it's kind of iffy. But I think if we do that, what we should do is have a setting so that people will automatically see who is okay with their character being killed and who isn't, so that we can do it fairly, so that people can. People who don't want their characters to end abruptly and lose all their progress because someone else decided that they wanted to be a villain spontaneously out of nowhere, they can keep on playing and creating their characters, whereas people who are okay with that risk and sometimes even enjoy that risk will have a sign on their profile saying, "Hey, I'm okay with being attacked and killed. If you want to play a villain, go ahead and attack me." You know, things like that.
So what I've done.
That's actually not a bad idea. So say in the journal sign up that I add another profile field, and that would say whether you would be open to your character being killed abruptly or not.
Yeah, essentially. It would essentially be like semi-bringing the no-kill, kill-enable tags back, but only for players, not threads.
Right.
And basically for myself, if you was looking at right below my little picture signature, you see the words, "If you have enough reason to do so in character, feel free to try to murder Hestia."
That'd make things interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing, is like, we've been getting rid of a lot of different options, such as like mental issues over the years, and the reason because of that is because people use that as a cheap way of making their character a villain. They actually don't take the time to develop a reason for their characters shifting from good to evil.
Right.
Like I've seen people like be this perfectly normal person. Ariel is the perfect example. Her character was such a nice character originally, and then one day he wanted his character to be evil, to be corrupt and aggressive and all that kind of stuff.
Wasn't Ariel once passed off to someone else? Wasn't Ariel once a different person who played him, then he got switched off to someone else?
I don't remember.
Not that I can remember, but I think that was all like a real life decision between the original creator and some friends.
Yeah, it was based off of in real life decision, and it wasn't even. He didn't create a character arc or anything like that to progressively change the character. He had the character go to Xandra, put a potion that essentially made you extremely violent and angry. Took the potion, went off and killed Itzal.
Oh, was that Opal?
Yeah, it said for me that the one that's being killed was Opal.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to point out was Shield brought up a decent point. He said, "I feel like if you're opening yourself up to being killed, that risk should come with perks." I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about that, just because it's not really canon. and we do want to try to stay as close to canon as we can. But I don't know. Maybe that would be a discussion that staff has before bringing it up to the public for your guys' opinion.
Yeah. Honestly, it's still on the fence of whether or not we're going to allow that kind of thing to happen. We have to discuss it together as a group. It's just an idea we're throwing out there at this time. But if we do decide to go down that route, then we would like your opinions on how you think we should go about it, what kind of perks and all that kind of stuff. If we do decide to do perks, they would have to be very slight. We don't want to give people a huge advantage or anything like that.
Okay, you just brought up the that maybe having extra opportunities for additional SP. That's a good idea. But we'll see when we bring it together to staff.
So he said basically the idea of super the idea of one perk could be like additional points to help you level up.
Oh, I missed that one.
Kind of like a Yui's Grace,
Yeah,
but
no, not that.
not that extensive.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a good idea.
Ideas.
We're all in speculation right now.
Yeah.
But no, we'll definitely have to bring that up to the staff and discuss that, because that's a really good idea. It's just we don't know how that's going to actually fit into the system. But it sounds like with having the extra spot to enter, if you are giving people permission to kill your character upon registration or afterwards, then that is looking like it might be a good solution at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So going down, is there anything else with quests and events that you guys have seen or know that's being worked on?
Well, since we did have two events. One was Morgenstern's, which is an entirely different boss that fits into the tier 3, kind of like they're both within the same location, kind of. So they're playing off each other in a small amounts, kind of.
Okay, and what about any upcoming?
Upcoming events.
Upcoming events, or
Yes, all of the above.
We need something for Christmas and New Year for sure. But I think it should just be New Year, because from what I've seen from people during Christmas time, I'm a snoop and I love old things. When it comes to Christmas, it seems like generally people kind of stick together like friendship groups, I'll call them, and it's like do like Christmas party friends together. Or if you join Maintain, have not a Christmas thread that lasts for 6 months.
But no, if
That's a legit thread.
Right, no kidding. But no, if any of you guys have any ideas for quests or events, feel free to send them towards Morg, and I don't know, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Before we move on from events, there is something I'd like to add. So
Go for it.
For the tier 3 thread, I've been getting a lot of questions as to why I typed out that Beat had attacked when he didn't even make a post. I'm clearing that up right now. That was intentional, and I'll be clarifying as to why in a little bit. There's a certain point in the boss fight that you guys are going to hit, and when you hit that point, everything basically becomes clear. And in addition to that, keep an eye out for posts not just in the event boss, but also in the event thread prior to the boss's releases, because there's going to be posts there as well, because the priests aren't just going to stand by and do nothing.
Yeah, so I mean that's interesting.
Yes. Yes, the mechanics are always the best thing in the world, aren't they?
The reason that it's 10 caps is just to prevent spam from people coming in and just spamming caps all the time. So that's the reason.
So if you do 9.5, you'll be fine.
How do you do 0.5 of a cap?
Basically, like, you see like an E kind of shape. Like, you just do like the very top line, and about halfway down the middle. That's about 0.5.
Oh, so you gotta start drawing your messages. So I have a Samsung Gear S3 watch. You know, you can.
Don't tell Matt down. You know he will. He's the mean king.
So much fun we have here. So moving on. What about the current floor? Where are we at right now?
Okay, current floor. We're at floor 23, which is Underdark, which we've talked about in extensive amounts because of the fact that we've had Taeon on here a few times. But you've not been a part of that, which I know some of you have not, because of either IRL stuff or just being busy people. Underdark is basically Dark Elf territory. They're a bunch of racist, not fun people to you. And then you have the actual land above the Underdark, which is just the first good couple, like a good 100 miles out. It's just dead land. Because of, if you've been paying attention to the floor boss, it's because the former Dark Elf Queen nuked that area via magic or something, I don't know. And
25 kill streak.
Yeah.
Or was it 52? I don't remember what it was.
Making like
Modern Warfare nuke.
Oh. Yeah, basically that's why you have the Queen's corpse just being hung that Hugh cut down during the boss fights. And that's why the Dark Elf Council's in trouble, because they thought like, well, the Queen was terrible, we need better than her, let's take over. And they took over and told nobody about the war that has been over for about a good couple tens of years.
Itzal, you got anything to add?
No, Hestia has been the one digging. I don't really know much about the floor, to be honest. I've been so busy with everything else in my life.
Just like Hestian character, I love knowing all things possible.
Don't we all?
So I'm a person that loves just being in contact with people who are working on development and stuff. And like, so tell me about what you're up to. And right now, on the next floor, floor 24, Panoreza. If you don't remember that floor, it's the one for Mother Rosario, the cancer girl. I believe I'm correct when I say that.
Yes.
And basically, what we have to that floor is we have the floor, we have a boss. I believe Morgenstern's currently looking into quests that have been made to make sure that they're balanced and all that, and the lore of the floor, so that's good. So I think that we would basically have all the main core elements for what would be necessary for us, just like busting out the floor ready to go. Then we have Ruby on the floor 25. Floor 26 is basically done, from what I know. Morrison put so much work into that floor, dear God. Floor 27, nothing on that. Floor 28, I say give it a month, it'll be done. Since we have someone who's a big fan of that floor's lore. And floor 29 has a labyrinth and a tour. That's all the floors we have in terms of work on them. That has been worked on staff people, because otherwise we did have that one thread where we asked the community or something, like giving us floor ideas. And lots of the floors from like 27 onwards, for something like 31, have been community ideas, I think. I say I think, because I don't know who's been part of staff in the days of old.
I think Ariel was the one who set up that thread.
Yes, it was Ariel. Because basically, I know it can't have been just staff, because I know you posted the floor, and that's how you get your name out there to staff people.
Oh yeah, I saw that thread and I was like, oh heck yes, I'm gonna make a floor, and I created this huge one, and then like 2 days afterwards, Beatbox messaged me and said, hey, you want to become a staff member?
Yeah, because the people I remember being on that was floor 27 is the canon floor, because that's the floor where the black cats got murdered by slaughterhouse and motor golems.
Must be my birthday.
We have 28, which was provided by us by Atso. If you guys know him, I don't know him.
Oh gosh, that's ancient.
That was fun times.
29, that's Fat Floor. I don't know who gave us 29. I'm pretty sure we'll give credit where credit's due when we release the floor. 30 was done by Hidden, and 31 was done by Itzal.
Fun.
I still have to make more quests and lore on that floor, but or other than that,
Sealed. About Atso. Atso gave us a floor that was floor 28. So you asked a question about that.
Okay. Oh, getting to that reverb, that's probably just because of Discord.
Wait, reverb?
Yeah, Shield was saying that there's slight reverb in the call. But that could just be Discord.
Okay, now assume that I'm an idiot. I don't know what that means.
Just some background, like, repetition.
Oh, like echo?
Somewhat. It's not as
Okay.
blatant as an echo. It's a little bit more up to date, or up to time.
Okay. Well, if you hear that from me, I'm very sorry. Might just be the location I'm at.
Yeah. Oh well. Is it that bad to where you guys are, it's like annoying? Also, if you haven't, don't forget, if you have any questions or want to join the call in, feel free to pop in there and we'll pull you in when it's your chance.
Oh, heck yeah. I want to talk to people if they want to, like, do this full-on discussions.
Oh, okay,
Just
so
remember,
that's okay, so that probably is Discord or someone's connection to the chat.
Just remember, even if Discord is making an issue, it is still better than anything Skype can do.
Ah, fuck. Really? Am I that bad?
I haven't noticed you with having an issue recently. It's like every now and then you'll like kind of like stall for a second. Like that.
Oh, did I just stall when I said
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like a Anyways, let's see if we can go forth. What's the boss
Alright.
status? What are we at in the on the current boss raid?
Floor boss?
Floor boss, floor boss. We just had group 1 instant attack. And basically, players from, I'm guessing, Sealed, Balder, and Hugh has been saying in character, get the mentality of, Isaki's gonna die. Like, when Tam does it post, it's gonna be just showing Isaki dead.
Nice.
And that'll just leave Ifahira, the paladin tank lady. But she just got stabbed by a beat, so you know that's got to be good.
Group 1 for the win.
Oh, see what's not wrong. Group 1 has gotten all the last hits so far.
Wow, impressive. Way to clean house, guys. Way to clean house.
Which I'm kinda not that surprised about since they have Balder and Pete. The only way they can make that more deadly is if they threw in Zandra.
Wouldn't that have been a fun team?
Oh, that'd be deadly. Because you got Zandra falling, Beat just being beat because he has Sealed just throwing all that extra unique consumable stuff in there. And then you have Balder who has his special 4 damage slot sword. Oh yeah, the one that void.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Duras, the little healer dude that Hugh wanted to protect. He was strapped, he actually worked. He did indeed just nope out of there.
Nope.
Yeah, he just popped out. So, and many people, I think in character, maybe even out of character, are worried we're gonna be like, yeah, sorry about that. Since you failed to kill the Duras Healy boy, you're not stuck on this floor. Have fun.
Rip.
That'd be the worst thing ever to do. Funny, but worst.
So much fun.
It's just like a Metal Gear style, like stealth mission where you go find and kill him.
I'm pretty sure that would drive some people almost insane.
Unless you're hidden, Kurdu, or Arif, they'll do it for free.
You know, that's just part of their mentality there. So I do want to say quick shout out to our donations for the month. First of all, is still doing a monthly donation, so thank them ever so kindly. And then our newest donor addition has been Dustin. So thank you very much, guys, for all your support. And if you are a donor and have ideas for perks, or you're not a donor and have ideas for perks, let us know, and we can see if we can get that added.
Yeah. And this is continue then now with the boss discussing thing. Oh,
Yeah. So what's going on? Have we talked about any of these supreme, stuck out highlights?
we have not gone into like details regarding the event bosses. Basically, like we've gone over tier 3 a little bit, not like any like in-depth detail analysis. So, but I think the more interesting one to go over is the tier 1/tier 2, because I think many people at least watching right now are like the tier 3 players. They're probably not paying attention that much to tier 1/tier 2 events. So basically, for that one, it started off with 3 pages of me and the Mars arguing with each other. And I'm not joking, it was 3 pages long. We did
Yes.
posts.
Jeez, they're just straight arguing.
Yes.
Yeah, Mars is basically bad mouthing him.
It was basically Mars, Kosai, and Black against Domars, Mina, and everyone else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jeez.
There was 60 posts of that. Then Morgenstern posted for the second time as the actual event boss, be like, okay, make a decision, guys, for if you just was it forgive option for that one? Or was it-
Yeah, if you think that Mirak is forgivable or unforgivable.
And naturally, since Mars and I me, I posted first, being like, just say unforgivable. Who cares about morals for this situation?
And then Black, because he disagreed, like a lot of us disagreed with that decision, but Black was trying to keep everyone unified. He was trying to make sure that even if we disagreed, we stood as one unit, as one group. And then Hidden came along and ruined all of that by posting last, choosing forgivable.
I mean, student stealth, no one saw her.
I know, but still.
Easy to be passed. But yeah, basically, people who chose the unforgivable. Wait, how does that see what? Wait, what? Steel's talking in the Discord chat about something about listening.
Oh, I don't know. There's nothing in the podcast chat, so.
Yeah, but okay, back in the topic then. Basically, people who chose unforgivable, they got a damage boost for I think it's 2 or 1.
Plus 2 damage.
Yeah, and people who chose forgivable, did they give some kind of like safeguard or something? You're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, everyone had a debuff. So, like, people who chose forgivable received a damage debuff. People who chose unforgivable received a defense debuff.
And since the majority of people who did post and chose their option chose unforgivable, let's just do an auto crit AoE. That should be fun. That should be fine. So naturally, everyone's like, "See what you did, Mars? You done goofed up."
Yeah, everyone was pissed at Mars.
And Mars was, and I just responded with, "I didn't make you press the button. That was your choice." And then to get to actual combat, you have Group 1, which is the Mars Nerf and some E1s. They're like middle damage of the group. Then you have the Group 2, which is kind of composed of tanks mainly, and like 1-2 player and 1 healer. And then you get to the last group, which is just primarily tier 2 players, which is the big damage group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And-
Mars was.
I was gonna say, like, basically after the first round, they knocked down the boss towards his second phase already. This was one smack from the last group. And his phase 2 form, I took notice that, like, I just noticed it when I saw the picture on the event, like, he looks kind of like Kaiba when he did his announcement on episode 1. Add to the fact that one of the like one of the fluff words he said for a sentence that Morrison did for it was that he wanted to achieve godhood. I was like, okay, so what's achieve godhood? There's a Kaiba from episode 1. Any character Kaiba, you stroked your ego during that.
Yeah, that would definitely be something.
So, Itzal, you said you were going to say about Damaris' choices or whatever?
Yeah, Damaris, when he was making the party, he was thinking about people's survival more than anything else. So for party 1, he wanted to try keeping some of the lower level players with him, so he could try protecting them to the best of his ability. And then he also had Aerith in his group because it was clear that Aerith is a loose cannon at this point. He needs to keep him under control. For tier 2, for the second group, he tried to keep that balanced and put Black in charge because he was obviously he seems to be a good leader. Even if he's strict, he's able to keep people in line to the best of his ability. And then the third group, he tried to have all the stronger players in because they wouldn't have a supporter. So he's trying to keep everyone's survival first and foremost in his mind when he's making those decisions.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to explain why Hestia chose her groups when she made it for the tier 3 groups.
She did not know.
I didn't need to explain my reasoning, because I said it in character on the Fed.
Yeah.
Which was, let me say here, why not? And I basically said that the tier 3 group one is meant to be the solo-focused group. That went well. And that, Hestia's team is meant to be the AoE people. And that worked well. Hopefully.
Yeah. Something I found funny was, like, Hestia commented one time, he was like, so, I noticed that the tier 2 group has, like, the tier 2 boss has already hit the next phase, and we haven't yet. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably because, A, a lot of people have the debuff applied to them, and B, there's a lot of people who are not taking any post-actions. Me included at one point.
Yeah, we've had you once, Zandra twice, Hiru once, Shul once. We've missed you twice, yeah. And Beat's one of our big damage boys.
Yeah. But like, and that's another thing is like the necklaces. I've gotten a little bit of heat from them. I could have constructed that system a little bit better. But like everyone was telling me that I could have tagged them, and I didn't tag people because I didn't want everyone to have a necklace because then the field effect wouldn't have meant anything. Hestia pointed out that what I could have done was had a limited amount of necklaces, and it was first come first serve. And yeah, I could have done that. That probably would have been better. But this is my first time doing a boss fight, so.
And no, I suggested some limited necklace thing after the fact when the fight started.
Yeah. So.
As the old saying goes, hindsight's 2020.
As the old saying goes, trial and error. You learn things from experience. You prepare.
Sealed. What part's janky? The idea of not everyone's getting a necklace, or the idea of limited supply?
No necklaces. Everyone gets a debuff.
Speaking of the debuffs, let's talk about that for a little bit and how that's affecting everything.
Yeah.
Abilities slash the ability of the entire area is when you have the cooldown ability from the area itself, which is fun to see. By fun, I mean have fun trying to be the strong boys. let's say quick change to a different weapon type. You're not gonna be able to utilize strong AoEs back to back.
Yeah.
No, that'll take a lot of energy out.
And I think what I've noticed that one of the abilities is you can just spam rank 4 with no energy cost. So I'm assuming that's implying that Itzal's want to make this a long drawn out fight to some extent.
Actually, you guys are screwed.
Here's the thing: is like we tried to do a couple tests before the boss, but you can't predict everything. For one, I didn't think of or anticipate Hikaru, and Jomei, all three of them not participating in this fight. I also didn't anticipate players taking zero action. There's a couple things that I didn't think of or didn't prepare for, and so I'll probably be altering a couple of stats or removing the debuffs early to make the fight easier. But
Well, not easier, just move a bit faster.
well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, because otherwise, this event might be a Tesla situation.
I'm not gonna have that. But the thing is, like, this boss is going to be dangerous, and players had better be ready for the worst. So,
I mean, if this boss is as dangerous to tier 3 as it is to the tier 1/tier 2s, I think that might be true, because right now we have, the tier 1/tier 5, we have someone nearing 50% health already, because Group 2 had the unfortunate luck of having another AoE happen to them.
yeah.
So, they're receiving all the bad stuff. Meanwhile, everyone else is doing fine-ish. Like, they're not dying horribly. If anything, I think worst off is maybe our floor developer, playing Sword, aka Kimmy, doing the worst for the tier 2 group since he has... I don't think he doesn't have any evasion properties, and has no mitigations. So if Kimmy gets hit by something, Kimmy's receiving the full damage. Oh yeah, as the tier 1 test 2 to fight, Group 2 is receiving all the bad luck.
The rough luck.
I'd like to mention real quick though for the tier 3 fight, the players who had clicked Sinner, I am a Sinner option, their debuffs have already vanished, and the other players will be losing their additional debuffs pretty soon. The field effect is still in play, but the secondary debuffs are vanishing over time. So,
By the way, welcome to the chat, Sandra.
Hey,
Hey,
man.
Stream.
Huh.
Welcome to the stream.
So going forth, has there been any kind of monthly topic highlights that you've noticed?
The main plots and threads that I've seen tossed around by just having to watch Discord mainly is, and also talking to people, is mine and Itzal's Damaris and Hestia thread where Mars trying to get redemption. There is Strider and a alt of Iados, because Iados died, like I said a month ago. So Iados created a new character, and Strider is taking that character into his guild, and he's trying to do that for like emotional support, I imagine.
Sounds about right.
And recently I'm now doing a thread with Iados' new character and Strider. Hestia is taking on Iados' new character as like another apprentice. that back up to you. We got our former question mark Knights of Blood member Mac, just Mac.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on with him.
Mac is maybe coming back in December? I don't know. He's wanted to at least try to be more present, I think, during that time. Yeah. And he's also wanting to do a hot springs topic soonest, if he can get our approval for it. Because one of the things is he wants to have like little competition things like Zandra did for her beach party. But the difference is instead of like pulling things from his personal inventory, It's it's instead being like, yo, for these competitions, if you ever win, can I just give them +1 SP? So instead of like, yeah, so we would need to discuss that or something.
I personally am against giving experience points, bonus experience points for even if it's a role play event. I don't feel comfortable about giving more experience points out there or SP. I'm okay with giving away like bonus coal or maybe items, but I'm uncomfortable with giving SP out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
Even
have
if
to
it's
agree
just
with that. Just because it's not combat, they're not really doing anything to earn that SP.
So yeah, I guess I'll just message Mac after this podcast then. Tell him what's been said.
So I'll say you're welcome, Mac.
So
any other topics?
none that I know of. But I can imagine that Sealed's doing something for his guild fed, like his guild group ideas.
They're always doing
that's
something.
right. He's making a new guild, right?
Yep, and it's basically the most. What I like to describe it as is a Brigade 2.0, but not as much as being a dicks. Because the Zero Brigade had Zell, Dom, Tristan.
Oh, Azure was just straight stacked.
Yeah. But this. Okay, but the thing is, Sealed's guild is going to be just as stacked if he gets all the members. Because you have Beat. Beat's the best solo damage. Balder, second best solo, second best singular damage. Zandra, you can say that she's best AoE because of her Fallen. And then Sealed. If you don't count Calyx, Sealed's the best tank. So yeah, that's why I call them as Azure 2.0.
No kidding.
So Zandra, in response to your question or your comments, it's familiar. It's a familiar contest, not an actual players fighting on players. There's a difference.
Oh yeah, it's a familiar combat thing, right?
Yeah.
Familiars fighting it out, which honestly I'd love to see Velnia or Rosarth do that. That would be interesting.
And those are Itzal's alts, the Drago familiars.
Velnia, the hyper squirrel kitten puppy dragon mixture, and then Rosarth, the overly arrogant and violent dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, this is from Mac here too. And yeah, another thing is, because of familiars, because there's some familiars, people just want to go for all the Q tops in, which Kimmy did. Since her familiar is just literally a shark doggo. And it's a damage familiar, and how it does actual damage, it cutes them to death.
Jeez.
It's so cute, it hurts.
Oh, what fun. Not gonna see it coming. Oh, it's so cute. Ah!
Exactly. And the thing is, Kimmy actually has found like pictures for the familiar like via Google. So Kimmy has like a folder, just full on just pictures of a familiar, whose name is Noodle.
Well,
And
alright.
yeah, you can just see a picture of Noodle, Kimmy's familiar, within Kimmy's signature. If you wanted to see a picture of it, if you've not seen it already.
So, anything else before we move on to the next topic?
It's been long that I've forgotten what topic we were on. We got sidetracked. Alright, interesting facts. That was it.
I mean, we hit pretty much a lot of them, and then we just kind of tangent discussion.
To be honest,
They're a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and to be honest, there's a lot going on. The one Hestia had mentioned with Itzal, Hestia, Damaris, etc. It's not just Itzal and Damaris and Hestia and all of them fighting each other. There's like a third party about to enter the game, and it's really going to be interesting to see how it impacts the rest of Aincrad. So this is going to be interesting.
That's a bit much, maybe. It's basically between just me and Itzal's character. It's basically it's like the Fed Tower. It's a war of ideologies between the two of them.
So I know we've released previously some open discussion feedback regarding 3.0. Itzal, you have anything to say about that?
Yes, there's
Quite a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to talk about on that subject. So before we get to the questions, I would like to go over the feedback threads, because I think there was a lack of communication. I could have clarified or communicated better, and because I didn't, there was miscommunication at some point. And so, first things is the damage discussion. Essentially, we had been working on a new system for damage, which was supposed to be like elements. So, like, you have fire, lightning, steel, and frost. And essentially, if you had like enhancement like fire, and you were targeting an opponent who had frost mitigation, then you would deal like +1 base damage to them. And that was pretty much it. Like, if your opponent had a weakness towards you, then you would have additional damage. If not, then you wouldn't get any bonus. Monsters would have their own series of elements that would be weak or strong against yours, and there would be a list for that, but that was basically it. However, most everyone didn't like it, and they believe that it'll be too complicated, including Hestia, actually. So there's a good strong chance we won't be using that because of the feedback that we got in that thread. It was an idea, we had worked on it, but we wanted to double check and see if people would actually want it, and now we have our answer for that one. So yeah.
And then we have levels that I was discussing.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear a little bit about that, Itzal?
Yes. So, first things first, I put that out not to talk about the level cap and how that's going to work, because that is already going to happen. We have already set that up, and we have discussed this with players before. I put that up there to try to help explain how it's going to affect skills and levels and such. And I did a poor job at doing that, so essentially what's going to be happening is players will have a level cap, and because their level will be restricted, so will their SP, because players will be leveling up by experience points and not skill points. And because of that, what we were planning to do was have it so that each level provided a certain amount of skill points. However, at that point, it would mean that depending on your level, you would have a certain amount of skills that you could access. We had a couple ways to fix this. One of which was we have something coming up, which will allow players to continue getting skill points, but it's very difficult to do so you can't become overpowered that way. It's basically just extra SP. And then the other way, which was my plan, was for players to reduce the skill cost. So players would be able to get, a decent amount of skills and such. The idea I wanted to go with was giving players the ability to be creative and diverse. Like, to be able to choose, to be able to have their own combination and go whatever route they wanted. And a lot of players have commented that you only need a certain amount of skills to have a full-fledged build. And yeah, that's true, but at the same time, if you have a minimum amount of skills, such as like 3 or 4, most builds you could get a full-fledged build out of, but certain ones you wouldn't. Rogues and scouts require more skills than others, and in addition to that, you wouldn't be able to have a familiar skill you wouldn't be able to have like extra skills like that. It would be really difficult for you to branch out. And while I like the idea of diversity, I don't want to force it on players. I really, really don't like that idea. So that's why we had the 3 options for players to pick between. Do they want minimum skills? Do they want like a nice balance? Do they want a lot of skills at first, and then it gets harder to get skills over as time goes on? And so far, it seems that most people want option 3, which is the starting with a good amount and slowly getting harder to get. There are other players who have argued for the other ones, but most of them have said that because they want it to be more like canon. And my only problem with that is I do agree that we should probably be staying as close to canon as possible. But the exceptions for that, I think, would be that you have to remember the video game in SAO, in both anime and in the light novels, they were not a very good game. Like, the game itself was not very good. Even if the threat of death hung over, even if the threat of death wasn't there, they would still they probably still wouldn't hang around. So you have to. So there's that, and then there's also the fact that we are role-playing forum first, and then a video game second. So there's a lot of different factors that I'm trying to filter in, but essentially, as far as skills and SP goes, that's essentially the wrap-up for that.
When it comes to the whole idea of, you mentioned the fact that the whole like set amount of skill thing equals a full build. You gotta admit, when it comes to people saying how to build a certain thing, like a certain build of, oh, tank, DPS, rogue, you can most likely say that everyone would be on one direct path and no, like, deviations from that. Because to be DPS, no matter who you go to, just say, okay, get your weapon, get your charge, get your like weapon mods. That's about basically it for DPS.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I've gotten a lot of feedback on that as well. There have been players who have suggested changes to the skills themselves, including from staff members. Taeyeon has an idea that she wants to work on a little bit before she presents it to us. But this essentially would be a completely new option, option 4, and it would be let's say that it's an even bigger change than what we were originally planning. So I'm waiting for her to finish writing out her idea, and then we'll look over it together and talk about it, things like that.
Alright, tell me about that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what it is, because I can't.
And to be honest, her idea is very interesting. And it's just like it's one of those things where like until the final product is out, you can see a lot of loopholes and holes and things like that. So I'm just kind of like having an open mind with it until the final version comes out.
Those sealed things kind of points in the stream chat that this whole like proposed skill thing for PvP stuff. I wouldn't particularly mind having that as a thing, like creating some skill specifically for PvP stuff.
Yeah, Shield. Just letting you know, we have not ignored you. We've pretty much already decided that we're gonna have it in there. Right now, the current idea is to have it similar to how Switch works, where it takes a post-action but doesn't really cost anything. So when PvP, you could jump in front of another player and all that kind of stuff. And after the boss raid had occurred, I was thinking about using that system with a couple of tweaks as the basis of how that actually would be used. So that's not an instant, oh, I can block him and you can't get past me. But more like you have to, like, there's a chance for them to get past you.
I mean, probably gonna be more than just a slight tweak, considering that Taeyeon likes to use the word, it was hastily thrown together.
Yeah. But like you get the idea. I want to set it up so that it's similar to Switch, but it's not an instant success. You have to see if you actually block them.
So if you guys want to leave your feedback on or ideas on any of these discussions with 3.0, you can find that in the feedback section of the blogs.
Yes, please.
So there's one more thing you had. Those levels, there's damage, and was last
And then
one.
there's boss drop. So, okay, so we were not trying to do a vote for this. We essentially all of or most of systems development and everyone who's working on 3.0, we all technically agree in the sense that we don't like the idea of whoever deals the final hit against the boss gets the last drop. And the reason we don't like this is because it's unfair to everyone else. It caters to DPS players, which right now the entire site is catering to DPS players. Essentially, if you're not a DPS player, you're not going to get far. There are ways to get around that, but a lot of them include being able to deal damage as well, whether it's through thorns or something else. So a lot of 3.0 is to rewrite that and try to make it cater to everyone. And so we're trying to come up with a way where we can keep the canon where the boss drops are unique, but at the same time, when you get that boss drop, we don't want it to be catering towards a one build period. So we wanted to ask the community to see what ideas they had, if they could help us out there. And I'm going to go ahead and share this, but we had already planned for players to be able to get gear besides the final drop item. So players would be able, so essentially each player would receive a roll by the boss, and the boss would have his own loot drop table. So there would always be a chance to get something from the boss. But the thing is, like, the boss drop item, the final hit item, is supposed to be very powerful. And because of that, we want to make sure that it doesn't cater to one group specifically.
Yeah, so I mean is a lot nicer for more people to have more chances. So that'll become pretty nice.
Yeah. And another thing I'd like to add is that Shield actually commented in the feedback section telling us, he didn't even suggest, he actually tells us, he says, I do not think staff should have anything community voted ever again. And what he says following that is, the V-Day event taught us that even us weebs are not immune to such contests turning into popularity contests.
Or more so in this case, voting for things that benefit them.
Being biased and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, I can see where he's coming from, and I agree with him. Certain things and so that's something I'm going to be talking about with the rest of the staff, is coming up with what we should be talking to the community about, what we shouldn't. But I do want to keep in touch with the community and try to get advice and ideas from them. See if they want something or not, things like that. We just have to be careful about that.
Well, one thing we have learned is complexity, not the best option sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean that comes with the challenge of having a forum RP site that's based on a video game.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
And honestly, originally I didn't think it added too much complexity, and then when everyone else is saying no, it has a lot of complexity, I'm like, okay. So I was a little sad at first, but I kind of got over it.
Yeah, you just gotta get over it and then learn how to use it, and then you're fine. But no, what the complexity is the toughest part about this. But you can't have a video game based RP site and not have any kind of complexity.
But at the same time, you don't want too much complexity, otherwise the fun is lost.
You don't want too little, and you don't want too much.
Yeah, that's the real challenge of it.
Because too little, you're gonna have to deal everything with on the honor system, and we all know how that would work out.
Yep.
It wouldn't.
Nope.
Yeah. Basically, when we have people like Itzal making systems, they're basically making a video game. In terms of how much work they put in.
Pretty much. So I mean, they do put in a lot of work, and to get the site where it's at now, it's really awesome. So I do want to thank
Mhm.
them for that.
Yeah, because I've seen Itzal work. I've seen Tan work. I'm gonna say back in. I've not seen Tam back when she was, like full gung ho. As I joined kind of recently compared to the forum's grand history. I can imagine she has put in much as work as Itzel, where all this is volunteer work. I swear Itzel treats this being like a full time job of how much he works on it.
Pretty much.
Hestia has told me at least 3 times to go on vacation. So.
You stress yourself out way too much, my dude.
Yeah, it's all self-inflicted.
Oh man.
But no, if you are interested in joining staff, there's some resources you can read on the site. Or if you want to join systems in particular, go ahead and contact Itzal. I know he's always looking for new team members.
Yeah. And let me add this, because I've noticed a lot of people don't really know what systems development does. It's not just numbers. We don't just work with numbers. We come up with new ideas and things to add into the world of Aincrad, whether it's enhancements or a new type of dungeon, whether it's something that we could add to a dungeon or something that we could add to like adding something to Sword Arts. You're using your creativity when you're in systems development, and you use that creativity to find and correct any issues in the current system, to find ways to improve it or add completely new aspects to it. So
yeah, there's a lot of room for creativity, which is nice.
Yes.
But also, if you want to deal with the lore development, I know we got the mysterious murders going on. Go ahead and get in touch with Arath, and he can answer any questions that you may have regarding that team.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, feel free to join any other team if you're so inclined. Hestia's our GM of the PSTs, and Morgenstern's the GM of the floor development.
Yeah.
There's a couple of questions from Macrodon that have yet to be addressed, though. So
yeah, we're getting there.
That.
I do want to say real quick, because I do know we have some people that do like staying in touch with that Minecraft server, so I'll just touch on that quickly. The starting town's about 72%. We've almost got all the buildings placed, so it's looking really fine. If you look in the Minecraft section of the Discord, you'll see it there. The floor border has been complete for a while, and I just placed the second floor, so that's started. And then the progress in the second town has been underway and is looking pretty good, thanks to Xandra and Hick, who've been just working pretty hard on that. So if you're interested in joining that staff, go ahead and read the on-site application and send it my way.
Since we're getting to questions, I think now's a good time to be like, okay, people, if you got any burning questions, send them now. And if you want to talk to us about having a fun discussion about something, jump in that
Call in.
Call in. I don't say jump call it.
It's literally called call in the podcast section of the Discord.
It's the obvious things that get you, man.
So yeah, feel free if you want to come on and discuss a topic with us. That's your option. If not, send us your questions and we'll get them answered. So, Itzal, you want to start us off with those questions from Mac?
Yeah. Alright, so the first question, I'm a little bit confused as to what he means, is thoughts behind the developer's reasoning for changes proposed to the player base. I think he's talking about the feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's talking about feedback.
So I think I already explained how that works now, but the damage enhancements, the reason I wanted to add new types of enhancements was because it kind of felt dull. Players just, grabbing damage, rushing at the enemies, taking them down. I wanted to add a little bit more variety so that players could kind of customize what their damage was going to do. They could add a little bit more role-playing flair to their attacks, things like that. And
So,
I knew
things to break the whole what everyone gets from everything usual builds.
Yeah, try to build on that, basically. And I knew that people were going to be a little bit iffy about the element damage, But my argument about that is, yes, it sounds a little bit magic-y, but at the same time, we have paralysis, which stuns and takes down the enemy, and yeah, that can be just hitting your opponent in the right area. But at the same time, you also have the burn enhancement, which catches your enemy on fire. You also have, sorry. You also have fallen and holy damage, which is not natural. You got all these other enhancements that don't really make sense in a non-magic world. And even furthermore, first aid works by you touching the person, a glowing light appears, and then they're healed. You can't that's really borderline magic if you think about it. So I'm not saying that we're gonna go into magic, but I'm saying that I feel like there can be little dips into it, such as elemental things. Of course, we're not doing elemental damage because that was decided against, but that was the idea. As for the skills and SP, I already explained that. We were trying to see what the community wanted in regards to how many skills they'd have. And then, again, with the boss drops, that was explained in the sense of we're trying to find new and creative ways to do this besides catering to damage dealers. And then his next question is how staff will handle the retract. Okay, so basically he's asking. Yeah, he's basically asking how the system is going to handle dropping players' levels in character.
Yeah, because I think before now was increasing the level range. This time we're knocking people back and only knocking people back.
Yeah. So essentially what's going to happen is this. Players in character will receive a notice from the system stating that the system's going to be updating soon, that players will be given 24 hours, and it'll warn them that players above X level will be dropped down to X level. So it gives players in character time to finish their quest or dungeon, go back, look over the upcoming updates, and then what happens is when they hit that level, all of their skills are refunded for free, and they can choose where to put their new stash of skill points in. So the system's going to treat the players fairly, give them time to go home and get ready for the update, so they won't be in danger or anything like that.
So
that's basically how it's going to handle it.
My memory's bad at some point, so I'll just say this and hope I don't say anything dumb. Basically, the difference between, let's say, Aerith and Calrix. Aerith's like level 50, Calrix is level 80. How we try to explain the still significant level difference would equal power difference. Would that difference still be noticeable to some people, or you know?
What was that?
Like you have people like Calrix who are level 84 who get knocked down. Then you have people like I'm gonna say let's just say this is level 31 is for the semantics of it. Well, would it be the notice of the power difference even then? Like, in the sense of people who stay at the top will manage to be like one of the top people, but not overly so like it was. You know what I'm trying to say?
Not really, no. It's probably me being stupid.
It's basically the idea of, like, since Galaxy is level 84, someone's level 31, they both be knocked back down to level 30. Will they then be the same SP amounts, same level, like same SP amounts,
yes.
yada yada yada?
Yes. Everyone will be brought down to the same level and skill points. And as I said, there is an alternate way to get skill points, so you can get more. It's just really, really difficult.
I mean, it can be difficult for some, since it's more so becomes like you have the time. Is what it comes down to at the end.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, since the quick you see people who don't have a life and people who do have a life.
But that's the thing is like I want this alternate way to get skill points to be even if there are people who grind and grind and grind, they still don't get many skill points. So it's like extra. Like you after getting a certain after making a certain amount of progress, you'll be able to get like a mod or maybe an extra skill, but it wouldn't be much. And that's the point. It's supposed to be extra bonus stuff that you can use.
Okay. Because I'm just bringing this up because since I know that we didn't bring this up, and we did bring up that whole system of you can get more SP for those who have more time. You have people who be like, you have people who have jobs, who have lives, who wouldn't be able to do that. So how do you balance that out?
That's where the problem is like we can't cater to. We can't just give away free SP for doing nothing, and I think that's where the definite issue of like this is a role-playing game first and a video game second. Technically, you're supposed to be able to get all the skills you need to survive, or like to roleplay your character out rather quickly, and then everything else is basically extra. Because like we're on this role-playing forum mainly to write stories out, and for a long time, I've seen a lot of players not really caring about story, just grinding through threads and posts specifically to get stronger. So
who would totally do that? Not me.
no, Hestia, you're good because you create a lot of excellent stories along the way, and at the same time, you from my perspective, it looked like you wanted to get to a certain level, not because you want to get stronger, but because you just wanted to beat Calrex. It was less of I want to be powerful and more of just friendly competition.
Oh yeah, that's my goal. I want to beat Calrex before 3.0 comes out.
It could be this year, it could be next. Who knows?
One way or the other, I will dethrone the king.
As we mentioned before, as 3.0 is not Half-Life 3.
But yeah, so we're not going to be able to satisfy every single solitary need. If we give rewards out to people who actively do things, then the people who don't have as much time aren't going to get as many rewards. If we do it vice versa, it's actually going to be even worse because then people who have less time will still get skills, but then everyone who has active time will get like twice as much.
Okay, so Itzal.
Yes.
This is from Field. He says you grind because you want numbers to back up the character you want to play. So we're actually going to see that. So, you have anything that kind of responds to that kind of thing? People grind because they want to play the character that they want to play. Instead of just doing it for not. Basically, they grind because they want to get the character to a point where they can see enact the stories they want to do. Not because it's like the only option.
No. Like I agree with that. There are players who act like that, but at the same time, I'm saying as during my time on SAO, from start to finish, I've seen many players who grind just for power, just for strength, whether it's and it's mainly been out of character reason. I've seen a lot of those players leave at this point, but I'm saying that has been an issue that I've noticed over my time. So you are definitely right, Shield. There are a lot of players who do that. There's also a lot of players who do the exact opposite.
Yeah, when it comes to the site, I'm rather kind of glad it's at the point where it is now, where people at the point where they realize, oh, stories what I want to focus on first. And they do that. Because, yeah, I'm actually happy about that. So, hopefully that's a thing that sticks.
Yeah, hopefully. That's what I want. I want to try. That's why I'm trying to apply the phrase "forum first, video game second" as like a second rule to real life first, role play second, because first and foremost we're a role playing forum. We're here to write stories and all that kind of stuff, and the video game stuff, the video game aspect is fun, but it's a secondary focus. So.
Yeah. Which is why I touched on the last podcast where I mentioned the whole thing about people ask me what to how do you get to the front lines? I was like, just ignore the front lines.
Yeah, don't.
Focus on
worth
your
it.
story.
It's not worth it.
Focus on your story first before anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like as people mentioning Hero's plot, it's like yeah, Hero's plot is nice and amazing right now. Oh guys, anyone in the front lines is going crazy with plot.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question on the list was why are we bringing back Wild Dance and Whip instead of making weapons more balanced with each other? This ties in with the next question, which was what are the plans for sword arts? If you remember the last podcast I was in, I explained how we're basically revamping all of SAO. Like, it's a complete 100% rehaul. And sword arts are also in that. Sword arts are also in that category. So we're making sword arts more diverse, and we're adding new aspects to sword arts, which allows more options and things like that. And because of those additions, we were able to add in more sword arts, and therefore that's where Whips and Wild Dance comes in. And honestly, whenever I look at the sword arts, I'm very satisfied because it looks very well. It works really well. We've tested it out and it does work really well. We're obviously gonna probably have to make some changes, adjustments after everything comes out. But overall, I think that what we have works really well.
So to hit on a point that I saw it. I'm not. Wait, did it get deleted?
What?
It got deleted.
Oh, about the 200 SP.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
It's,
thank you for reminding me.
so
Sorry.
if the limit, Zan said, so if the limit gonna be 200 SP, will everyone lose their SP that is over 200?
It's not really a limit of SP, but yes, and people would lose SP, and that's why I had the feedback discussion for skill points and skills, because those three options will determine how many skills a player will have when 3.0 comes out. And the thing is, like, the first option minimizes the amount of skills players will have, like, to the point where you'll have maybe 3, maybe 4 skills, unless you don't finish any of those skills and just spread everything out. Option 2 was supposed to be like the balance between 1 and 3, and option 3 was where you start off with a good amount of skills, and then the more skills you purchase, the harder it is to get more skills. That was the general idea. And a lot of players seem to like option 3, so that's probably what we're going to be going with. Which, if I'm going to be honest, I'm very happy about that. But, yeah, it is a very good... I think this is going to be a very good way to break that gap between the first level players and the high level players. Because honestly, it's not just the level that's deafening. It's the amount of skills the players have. Itzal has more skills than he knows what to do with. And compare him to a player who's at level 1 or 5 or 15. That's such a big gap that they have to fill that they get discouraged, and a lot of players just leave the site because of it. So that's one of the reasons the level gap is a very big problem that we're trying to fix. And we're doing that with the level cap and the drop in SP. Therefore, even if it's canon to get more SP and all kind of stuff, then our idea is to limit the amount of SP players get by having it per level. And since there's a level cap, that's automatically a cap on that. It's a soft cap, of course, because there is the option of getting more SP, but that's, again, hard to get. It's a delicate balance, but I think it works out.
Again, the fun of being a system dev. You gotta think about balancing and creating a video game.
It's fun, though. You can come up with new things.
If I want to create something, I'll stick to my floor development stuff that I can be doing. Because, yeah, I am PSD, but...
You're GM PSD.
Exactly. Because even when you're someone like Neo and all my other PSDs, things get done swiftly. Sometimes you just have a lot of time on your hands. What do you do that time? Well, you do what everyone staff does. You sit down, you work on the floor, have some fun.
Also, by the way,
What?
in regards to the skill and SP changes, the level cap, and all that, I didn't release. You're not gonna be able to understand everything because there's a lot. There's a lot that's being changed, but there's also a lot that's being added, and there's also skills that are gonna be added. There's gonna be new skills, and we've got a lot of skills going towards those builds that don't have many skills going for them. So, in order to create enough room for creativity and variety, and to keep certain skills from being completely 100% useless, we have those options out. So, just remember to be excited for 3.0 because you'll be getting a lot of new stuff.
A lot of new stuff.
A lot of new stuff.
As I
Holy
said,
crap.
New toys.
152-page document. Like,
It was like 120 last time I saw the docs, but that could have changed.
Listen, I don't keep track of your doc numbers. All I know is that it's over 100 pages. You wrote basically 20 to 25 college-level thesis papers by now.
True
How do you
fact.
feel about
Mine's only
that?
up to my college thesis is only up to 16 pages.
That's the thing is, like, my high school teacher, I'm homeschooled, by the way, but we have homeschooling teachers who help us out. She was an English major, and I was really good at it. So ever since I was in her class, I basically end up writing everything as an essay format. So,
I mean, it helps to
That's
organize,
perfect.
so there's that.
yeah.
So then, that's all the questions we have currently. So,
If,
any of you have any-
Xandra's asking in Twitch if do anyone actually have the skill that gives more battle ready slots?
I have
that
not.
would be.
Oh, Alex does apparently.
Yeah, he has the SP to do it. So.
Give me a month.
Right. But no, if you have anything you wanted to come and discuss with us, feel free to hop in that call in. We'll wait about another 5 minutes, and if there's no one in there, then
I think we should be waiting like 10 to 15 minutes since
The
I don't know
stream's-
how bad this lag is.
the stream's not. It's not on a bad delay. I think it's like a second or two.
Is it?
Yeah, I turned the
yeah,
delay
it
down.
is, yeah, it's about like half a minute maybe. Like maybe at the worst half a minute because it has like still get in there.
Yeah, I have the low latency setting.
Okay, that's good.
So because I do a record through OBS while streaming, I can just upload right after. So I can afford to have low latency and no DVR.
That's really good.
But yeah, if you guys have any other, we have Hiru. All right, give me a second.
Oh, Hiru's here?
Yeah, give me a second. I'll pull you right in.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Hiru, welcome to the podcast. He's muted.
I hope you're ready to
Hi.
edit this in. Sorry.
He's muted.
Let's put like in the lower right corner of the screen during YouTube.
All right, here you got another like couple minutes now, or else you're gonna you're gonna be booted
Wait,
out.
is he muted because of setting, or is he muted because of
I don't know.
There we
Let's
go.
try
Okay,
it now. Hey,
Hi,
Hiru.
Alright, hello.
There we go. There's his voice.
Alright, sorry.
The majestic voice of Peter is here.
So what do you want to talk to us about, Hiru?
Well, actually, I want to talk to you guys about, what I actually want to talk to you about now.
Don't you hate when you walk into a room being like, I have something to do, and you forget?
I completely forget.
And the thing is, like, it's always this situation, like, you walk into a room, you forget what you were in there for, you walk out, like, you wait, like, 10 minutes, it's long enough to, like, the issue become unimportant, you're like, that's what I need to do.
Yeah. No, I'll come back. Let me think about that.
Okay.
All right.
Oh god. That's literally just the that's really walking to a room effect.
Yep.
I'm willing to bet, like, this is based on the walk into the room effect. You remember it immediately as the podcast ends.
That would be horrible.
That
Oh,
would
it
be,
is.
yeah, something.
If that happens, I can talk to him on PM.
Yeah, whatever comes to. So if you have if anyone else wants to come on, then you know, just pop in that call in.
Sealed said he was thinking of something. But dear god, this the Schwitz went hype with the hero hype.
Yeah, no kidding. You just see it. That went nuts. All right, so Hiru came in first, and we'll go. So the order is gonna be Hiru followed by Shield.
Oh damn, we got both of them. Nice.
Yeah, Hiru was just a little bit faster on the takeaway. Hey, Hiru, you got your
Okay.
your question now?
Yes, I do actually.
What is it?
Good job.
All right. So, I was actually wondering what is going to be real big changes for any of the shops, merchants, blacksmith, all the crafting jobs. 'Cause I know there's going to be a lot of changes for that.
Oh, there's a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Can you give me some sneak peeks?
I can give you a few, yeah. Well, one of the things is we're planning to change how materials work. So instead of working by tier, they would essentially work by class. So you have uncommon materials, rare materials, and perfect materials. And that is obviously linked to how things are going to be crafted. I don't want to spoil everything, but essentially crafting is going to be easier to do. And in addition to that, there's also going to be another option for crafters, which is basically upgrading. So if you have an item, you have a chance to upgrade it to the next class.
All right.
There are also going to be changes for the merchant. There's going to be additions to how to what they can do, and one of these is something that I really like the idea of. Is basically instead of upgrading, they have the option of taking an item that has its stats already, and you can re-roll one of those stats.
Oh, okay.
So if a merchant identifies an item and the item doesn't have what the player wants, then they can re-roll the stat real quick. So in other words, like if you get it like a unique enhancement, and the player freaks out, and then they realize that the other enhancement on the item is crap, then you can re-roll that crap enhancement to something that fits the unique item.
Okay. That sounds good. That's really good.
But I'm pretty sure that Sealed and the Collins being like, yes, feed me more.
Yeah, all of us merchants are fairly happy about that.
Is it
Yeah.
is it bad that I forgot you were a merchant?
Oh no, my merchant shop is dead in the water. Don't worry about it.
I just have Hestia just walk in there at some point and be like, okay, I buy all your stock, you're rank 5 now, have fun.
All right, that's about my question. Thank you, though.
All right, yeah,
All right.
anytime. Thanks for coming on.
Yep. Oh.
All right, now we're gonna pull in Shield.
The tank is arriving.
What up, Shield?
He's muted on his side right now.
Get a little bit.
Shield, unmute yourself. Damn it. Shield.
Okay, so Itzal, since we're waiting for Sealed, Sansa wanted to continue on that question of alchemists, cooks, blacksmiths, tailors, performers. Any differences there?
Yeah, because like those changes apply to all the crafters, every type. The only different one was the merchants, which I already went over. So everyone will be able to craft easier. They'll have the option of upgrading. Yeah, you won't have to go to a very specific tier 4 to get materials that craft a specific tier. all materials can craft any tier, but they're and now instead determined by quality.
So let's say, okay, so class materials then. Let's talk about that for a little bit. While we wait for our boy Sealed.
Got it.
Will you only find class 3 on
Hey,
tier
Shield.
floors?
Hello?
Hey, Shield.
How's it
Hey,
going?
Shield. Doing pretty good.
Pretty good, how are you?
Dude?
So what do you want to ask us?
So, this is going to be rehashing some information, I'm sure, but it's a topic that I know kind of concerns everyone that's involved in the site, both new and old. I've been absent in the conversation regarding level caps and such, so I wanted to kind of bring back an idea that I'm sure has been brought up, but just kind of bring it to the forefront of the idea of just raising the minimum level, because there were a few advantages to that, and it was kind of treated as a fix to a lot of the problems that existed. Mainly, you come in and suddenly you have to pretend like you were just asleep for 4 years, even though you might be a gung-ho player who's trying to push their way to the front line, but everyone kind of has to make up that story of why they just haven't done anything for 4 years. So I guess my thought of why the plans that we're currently considering have the advantages they have over that initial plan that we kind of were working on.
That has been discussed, actually, with staff, and I forget if we reached an official conclusion, but I do remember that there were some people who were for the idea, who wanted to give players a boost, and then there were some players who were against the idea, who didn't like the idea of players getting an automatic jump on their story. Because, like, the original idea was to have this in order to break the level gap. But at the same time, this was before the level cap idea. So the level cap already fixes a lot of the issues. So in regards to how a player starts off, honestly, we're gonna have to talk to the rest of the staff on that one, because that's a completely different situation, different issue.
Well, yes, I mean, it's two different approaches to solve very similar problems. Because the problem that it's trying to address, I believe, in kind of a roundabout way, is the idea of coming in and having such a huge gap between you as a starting player and the frontliners who have been playing for years, basically.
Yeah.
And
If I may.
the advantage of putting the floor level in, like the minimum level that kind of raises as we push our way to higher and higher floors, is that it keeps you from being stuck down at level 1 when everyone's at level 60, 70, etc. But it also doesn't punish players who have taken the time to accumulate all the levels and resources that they have. And that's kind of my response to that, I suppose, is it feels like the big risks are you're either punishing the new players by having that big gap, or you're punishing the old players by taking away a lot of the work that they've put in. Either way, you risk losing people to the site, and really players are the lifeblood of an RP forum.
Okay, so if I may, also the idea of the low cap is addressing a more mechanical thing we're dealing with. Because as everyone on the front lines know, you don't die by bosses, you die by each other. And the issue about that is because with the new addition of the frontliners basically allowing like 35s in now, is you can't really balance a boss that well at all to cater towards people like Cowex and Sealed and Itzal and Hestia and Hikori, people in the level 70s and 80s, while also creating that same scenario without being outright one-shot you're dead kid for people who are 35 like Strider, Pinball, Hidden. By doing this on level cap, it's putting everyone around the same playing field, close enough is, so that we don't need to fiddle as much and try to like gamble with stats and numbers and abilities and all that. We'll by trying to make things all balanced, cater to everyone, to create a dangerous and fun experience without it just being fun, just laughing at the idea of me dying impossible.
Yeah,
Right,
and I
sure.
agree
And
with
that's
that.
Go ahead, sorry.
I agree with that, but I also understand that and I also understand that they're two different concepts entirely, which is what I'm saying. This isn't something that I can really answer by myself. It would be something that we as a staff would have to discuss as a whole and talk about what we think would be the best option. Um, and then after that, we could probably talk to the community about it, share what we think, what our thoughts on pros and cons to certain scenarios. This isn't something that I think we should come up with an answer with off the top of our head. I think it should be discussed. And obviously, this isn't related to mechanical things as much. So if we can find a way to fix the issue without altering the mechanics, that would be the ideal situation. But of course, at the same time, it might not be possible. So this is just going to be something we're going to have to discuss.
Sure, and I would encourage you to pull me into some of those discussions, either just in like smaller chats, or if you would like me to call into a staff meeting or something like that, I'm more than happy to do so. This is actually a topic that Taeyeon and I actually discussed quite a little bit before she started the current boss fight, because really the issue that we're talking about here is you've got tanks who are going to be taking the brunt of the damage, and then you've got the other people who are there who need to have some kind of pressure on them still, but they're also going to be the squishies, they're going to be the glass cannons, and in this case now we're talking about also the level 35s and the level 40s who aren't quite current tier, who aren't, at the current, site maximum, quote unquote. And there are definitely mechanics that you can use to balance that are more devices of how you play the boss rather than fixing the overall mechanics of the site. If you'd like me to go into kind of what Taeyeon and I talked about a little bit there, I'm more than welcome to, but I'm also aware I'm taking up a lot of airtime, so that's I'm going to leave that up to the people who are running the call right now.
Well,
you're fine.
in terms of like you talking with us, as I said, this is going to be a discussion, taking those times you need, because people that think of the questions or whatever, they can just put it in the Twitch chat or jump in the call in also, and wait for that. And from what I've been told about minimally about what you and Tay talked about, what I remember the most about was that you talked about how mitigation and unmitigatable damage is kind of BS a little bit, I guess would be a bad way to put it.
Yes and no. That the idea of mitigatable versus non-mitigatable damage is definitely part of the discussion. But the way that I kind of put it is using it as a way to just negate the work that tanks have put into their build to create an artificial danger isn't a great solution. And what works kind of really well, I think, in my mind, is to have tank-focused attacks, like things that are targeted towards the highest hate, that are very high damage, but are mitigatable. So, you're punished by being a bad tank and putting yourself in a tanking position. You should be in that situation. You shouldn't be trying to pull hate if you're not built to take the punishment. But then also having other secondary effects out there that are non-mitigatable, that are smaller damage, that'll kind of hit everybody a little bit. So it keeps that pressure on without absolutely punishing someone for not having high mitigation when they're not supposed to be the focus of the damage.
And that's something you talked to Taeyeon about. I can definitely see that within the floor 20 feet boss fight. Because you had Morgenstern down to yellow, almost red, I think, right? I think that was the case, that Morgenstern got hit by Exoxy a lot.
Yeah, and so that way we do have some actual danger in the case of the tanks, but even after so many rounds, he's still standing, he's still up.
Yeah. So, Itzal, do you have any thoughts to add to this, or?
I can see how that. Will and I can definitely make changes to my current boss because I was concerned that players wouldn't be receiving any amount of damage from the boss because it was an event boss and wasn't as strong. I can see how those changes would make that better, actually. And I can try making some adjustments to the boss so that we can apply those changes.
Okay, well, I'm not saying you have to completely revamp the thing that's going on right now. I think that kind of letting things play out as they are so we can
Okay.
find the flaws in the system is perfectly fine.
All right. I will say that after 3.0 comes out, a lot's going to be changing, period. And so it would be interesting to take this concept and look at 3.0 with that concept in mind. So it's definitely something that I want to play around with and just try to create ideas for bosses. I'll probably be talking with Morgenstern about it and try to find creative ways we can use this.
Okay, yeah, sure. And by all means, let me know when you're going to be having those discussions. So if I need to plan around trying to be there for a meeting of minds, I can be available. Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, good to know.
Okay, well, that was what I had. Just wanted to put some thoughts out there on the table. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks for
Alright,
coming on
man.
the show.
All right.
He didn't leave.
He's still there.
All right,
There we go.
we're just gonna move him, and he can go that way.
General.
Well, it's better than kicking the poor kid. So anyone else that wants to come on, and if not, we're gonna start winding down the stream. You guys have any other final comments or discussions?
Not much discussions. Nothing's going to mind immediately, but I'm not good with on the spot thinking sometimes.
What about you, Itzal? Think of anything that could
Not
last
the current
minute?
moment, no. Not the current moment, no.
All right, sure, Hiru. If you want to throw another question, go for it.
Oh yeah, he was back.
We
Hey,
know Hestia.
what does that mean, has?
That you're not good with on the spot thinking. Loon.
I thought you were the butt.
Hero broke the podcast.
No, he broke the front lines.
He broke everything.
True.
So I think that might be about it. I don't see anyone in the call-in section. I don't see any more questions.
He might be joining, I think. He said he could throw more questions. I don't know if that means currently or later. Hugh, help us. What do you mean by more questions? Hugh.
Again, now.
It's like he had like a list of questions he wrote. Oh, there he is. He's in Collins now.
So the reason why his shield was stuck in there so long. What? Oh, here's in Colin. Cool. Alright, we'll move him.
Welcome back.
Hero's back again. Back again.
What happened, amigo?
Back again. Okay, so my question is, with 3.0, what are the changes to player killing that's going to be happening?
As far as 3.0, not really anything. There's going to be a lot more changes to PvP. We're planning on revamping the dueling system, tournaments, etc. But as for being able to kill players, that's not really part of 3.0. That's a different discussion in itself. Earlier in the podcast, we were talking maybe giving players the options to publicly announce through their profile whether or not they're okay with their character being assaulted and killed or not. That way players could still be a player killer and look for players who are okay with that and try to do threads with them. Or if the player doesn't want their character to be attacked and killed because they like the stories they have with them, and it's a lot of people don't like seeing all their hard work and progress just vanishing like that. Some people are okay with that. So we're probably going to be discussing this with staff and seeing if we implement this. But so far, I think Hestia and Shark agree with that. That might be a good option, a good balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Haz is going to the movie about Queen. Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to go see that. I heard it's really
I
good.
am very out of date about what movies are playing. The only one I constantly hear about is the one for Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's the one that we were just talking about.
Oh, I'm a genius. Don't
Do you
worry
not
about
know
it.
who Bohemian Rhapsody is made by?
Nope.
Alright, anything else?
Oh.
No,
Marcus
that's it.
is correct.
Alright.
Podcast.
Thank you.
Discord.
No, this is episode 3.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Who was the first guest? It was Taeyeon and there was Itzal. Who was the third one?
Let me go through. Oh no, you're right. 3 is next week because it's Bal.
Ah.
My bad. Oh well.
I knew it
Anyways,
wasn't crazy.
the uploaded one will is
It
gonna be
was
right.
1 then 3.
That's how we do our maths.
Oh, that's why people can't do the math in the SAO. We taught the wrong numbers.
Oh, well done.
Hey, that's their fault. They chose to follow us. Well, granted, they chose to follow me. Actually, no, they didn't really have a choice.
I mean, when it comes to no permission to kill thing, I put on Hestia's profile for like a month or 2 now. If you have a good and good reason to do so, feel free to try to murk Hestia.
So, Hiru, I previously mentioned that we might do that extra data field on profiles to indicate whether you want your player to be killed or not. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not too sure on that. Oh, I mean, yes, with the giving permission to kill on A1's journal is like, okay, you're giving that person permission. But then that's, that player killer has to look up those players, and with our journalists as it is, it's not very, search friendly.
Is that wrong?
Well, something I want to try doing is like, Shark, you know how we have the information of the players below their picture in posts? Maybe
Some people do this have this, yes.
Yeah, maybe we can add a function there, so that you can basically just be role playing with people, having a fun time, doing story, and if you run across a player who has, killing allowed on there, then you just go from there. Because the thing is, like, a person who has a player killer as their character shouldn't have the character specifically to kill players. They should be having that character to do story, and the killing is just a side product of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Or another idea is, you put subforms into the generator that says players who allow PK, players who don't, that kind of thing. Like create little subforms within the journal area. So once we get journals approved, you can have PSTs be able to move that journal to the appropriate section that says BK allowed, BK not allowed.
That would make sense.
I would suggest, like, if we do decide to add this in, to add it after the level cap is applied, because otherwise you could have an overpowered player just running across the forums, killing everyone he possibly can, or he or she.
I mean, I don't think that'd be a problem. Zelius is gone.
And Dom.
And
I've never got a chance to experience Dom, so I think I'm safe.
You're one of the lucky ones.
yeah, the holder of the Berserker unique skill. Damn.
So many problems.
Oh yeah, we've been working on unique skills too. When we were revamping the sword arts, I was looking through everything that the staff had, and I came across the unique skills, and basically updated that to 3.0. And in addition to that, I kind of revamped that as well. But what I have not worked on is how players get the skills. And the thing is, we want to try to come up with a fair way so that anyone can get it, but at the same time, they're not forced to do something. An idea a staff member had was to, like, have a certain story for each of the unique skills, and you had to complete that story to get it. And the problem with that was that some of the skills, such as Death Adder's story, or the story to get what do you call it?
Zero's
Hestia, what was
Zero's no armor weapon.
No, I was well, yeah, that one actually. I forget the name
Darkness
of it,
Blade.
but
There's
Darkness
Darkness
Blade,
Blade.
yeah. Like they basically required like killing a player or going a morally gray area, and I didn't like that because that restricted people to either changing their character or breaking character in order to get the unique skill. And I really wanted players to have more freedom, so we have certain members of staff working on a balanced way to do it. We have certain rules as to what they can or cannot do, and they're working within that system to come up with a way. I don't know how it's going to work because I really want to get the dual wielding skill. I kid you not, I've been chasing that ever since I got on site, and every time I got close enough to touch it, staff either removed it or changed how to get it. Like every time.
Sucks to suck.
I think I was about the same for the mercenary one.
It was the same for about all of them.
Yep, pretty much. It was really frustrating because like I was told that Death Adder like had the skill and I had to kill him to get it, and like I was upset at first, but eventually they started coming up with a strategy on how I could kill him. And I eventually like I legit had a list of every item Itzal could consume, every item he would have to carry, every skill and mod he'd need, and I legit got so close to finishing my prep work to the point where I could fight and defeat him. And then Beatbox messaged me and said, "Oh, by the way, Death Rider is invincible now. No one can get him." And I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah.
So it's been a frustrating ride trying to chase that sucker left and right. So anyone can get the skill, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be a little selfish and say that I really want me to get the skill.
In Sill's point, any tank worth their salt just knows Calyx. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, players who already have the unique skill, they won't lose it. As long as they're, catering to
Active.
you have to post a certain amount of times.
Yeah, what was it,
But-
2 weeks?
Yeah, once every 2
there.
weeks.
Yeah.
When we have taken it away from, when we previously had uniques out, we have taken it away from people who failed to meet those requirements.
Yeah.
Like Tyr.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I have like a list of people who have had uniques in South, because that's Hestia's frame. I was like, yeah, there's Tyr, there was Dom, there was Zelius.
Yeah, it was almost everyone.
Anyone who was a Zero Brigade.
Yeah.
True story. True story.
All right.
I
Alright.
think that's my questions.
Alright, thanks for your question. Appreciate you being on the show.
Alright.
Later.
Sealed is being like, Calyx isn't even a tank.
He doesn't even go here. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us here at the Sword Art Podcast. Unless anyone else has final remarks.
That I can think of.
Alright, well I think that's gonna do it, and hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in. So, playing it out, and enjoy the rest of your day.
got the jig for me. Come up here, Scott. I would.